All right, we'll get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you to our February meeting of the Sac Valley IIBA group. Tonight, we got a pretty decent survey. A decent meeting. And at the very end, you'll be getting a request from Steve to fill out a survey. So as we were talking about before, there's raffle prizes, two raffle prizes that will be given out during this meeting, and then one prize for whoever completes the survey. We'll do a raffle for that as well. Tonight's meeting will cover 1.5 CDUs, continuing development units. Those CDUs can be used for a variety of things to maintain your certification, but they can't be used to qualify you to be able to take a certification exam. In order to do that, you need what are called PDs, professional development hours, PD hours. I also want to thank our sponsors, Blue Shield, BSP. They were hosting us for free when we had in-person meetings, and we're hoping to get back to that someday and be able to use those facilities for free. Netmind provides us with some speakers, usually one session a year. And then Experis has been a great sponsor for us. They help support us with the raffle prizes, food when we have meetings in person, and just a lot of logistical things that happen. And of course, I want to talk about the board a little bit. So this is the second meeting of the year with our board. We have some new board members, and then we had a change in our board that I want to talk about. So our VP of Event Planning, Steve Hewitt, is on the call. You guys probably all know him. Steve does a tremendous amount of work. So really appreciate you, Steve. Nora O'Reilly. Nora works for Experis and helps us a great deal with all of our sponsorship things and other things. Priscilla Simon is our VP of Membership. Anna White is our treasurer. And new this year is Travis Holland as secretary. And then we also had a new person briefly who was going to be our VP of Education and Certification, and that was Pandu Gupta. But Pandu's schedule got really, really busy, so he had to resign. And we're really fortunate that we were able to get Duran back as our VP of Education and Certification. So Duran's on the call. He's going to be presenting with me later, and it's really great to have you back, Duran. All right, the next thing that we do typically comes up is job opportunities. So usually we start with Nora and Experis. And then Nora, you can probably put your contact information in the chat box for people if they want to contact you. But turn it over to you, and let's hear what's happening out in the field.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's IIBA. So as it's been for the last 6 or 7 months, very, very big employment demand right now. It's a candidate market. So that means we have a lot more work than we do candidates. So we are looking for business analysts, business systems analysts, a lot of different development roles within IT. We focus primarily in IT. We do have engineering as well, but if you know anyone that's looking for work, Experis is hiring, and we have a lot of remote opportunities as well. Although we are seeing a slowdown in that, because I think as things open up, if the clients are okay with being hybrid, that would work, but a lot of them require on-site now. So there still are a lot of remote work jobs out there, but they may not be a local client. So anyway, just wanted to say hello, and I put my information in the chat. So if you have any questions or if you know anyone, please connect with me.
Great, thanks, Nora. And Duran, I think you had something as well that you wanted to talk about, right?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, first off, thanks for welcoming me back. It's, just like what I said, it's kind of mixed emotion, because I know Pandu has a lot of potential and things to offer to the group. it's a good thing that we had this ERP implementation project delay that I'm kind of freed up in the first half of the year. So I told Bob, hey, if no one is assuming it, then maybe I can take another year. So thanks for everyone on the board for accepting me back. I'd like to think that you want me back, but I guess you're just stuck with me or something. So, yep, my current employer, a manufacturing company, is based in Vacaville, California. We're looking for a business systems analyst. Let me see here if I can paste it here on the chat. Yeah, we require, you know, a full-blown BA, senior BA, 6 knowledge areas, and we need someone with ERP implementation background. Okay, desired are Microsoft technologies. The company is heavy on Microsoft, and if you're interested, please send me your resume on the email. So, and again, this is kind of on-site in Vacaville. It's not a work from home or remote opportunity. So that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, John. Does anyone else on the call have anything that they want to offer up for job information, job availability, or job advice? Okay, not hearing anything. The next thing on the agenda is to talk about our upcoming events. So in March 16th, right before St. Patty's Day, hopefully we'll be all celebrating that out loud, but we'll see how the mask thing goes. We have a speaker, Emily Tom. She's Cbap certified, and she's going to be covering business analysis, planning, and monitoring, which is one of the knowledge areas, but it's not going to be like a dry review of that knowledge area, right? She's going to be talking about, from her experience, key things that you need to do when you're doing your planning and your monitoring for your upcoming work. All right.
Yeah,
So,
she's the former president of the Ontario chapter of IIBA, and we're meeting later this week to come up with a snazzier title for this event.
Yeah. All right. So that's March 16th. It'll be 5:30 to 7, I believe, just like we're doing now. Occasionally we'll have an event that's during noontime. Usually that's when Netmind gives us like a 1-hour presentation on sort of like a specific topic, you know, very specific. So we can get it in that hour. The next thing we have on our agenda is our main topic, which we've titled Your Career, your BA career, and maximizing your potential and your salary. John and I have sort of upgraded a presentation that has been given in the past, but now it has definitely a lot more information in it. I put a few little gold nuggets in my part of the presentation on just some of the key pieces that, you know, I want to make sure people grasp. So I'll just introduce myself really quickly. John, then we'll have you introduce yourself, and then we'll jump into the presentation. So I've been on the IBA board since 2016 in a variety of positions. I'm president for the last 3 years. I also get pretty heavily engaged with some of the study group stuff that we're going to talk about towards the end of that presentation today. And I've been basically in IT and BA just about my whole career. Currently work at Blue Shield of California in their product development area. And we go through yearly cycles for different lines of business and gather requirements, get them approved, and then make all the changes happen. John, I'll turn it over to you to say a few words about yourself.
I would just wanted to say, just look at the screen and I'm done. But, you know,
Okay.
I started off as an, it's one of those things where you don't want it to reveal your age, but I started off as an IBM programmer for a bank, and then rose through the corporate ladder back in Manila, the Philippines, and then did the consulting thing. It made me travel Asia and even the Middle East. And then when Y2K came in, there was this opportunity to be in the United States. And so I thought it was just a few years of gig, and then I'll go back home. And apparently I'm still here when I met my wife here in San Francisco. So things changed, especially when the baby came. So, so I, as a developer, coming from a developer background, my challenge was every 18 to 24 months, you have to retool. And so when I found that there's such a thing called business analysis or business analyst, I thought that's what I need. I want to be part business and part technical and represent IT and basically enable change in the company. And so since then, since I handled the team of BAs, I got myself certified and found myself here in Sacramento Valley with Bob and the rest of the team. So welcome everyone.
Thanks, Ryan. My mother-in-law's dog wanted to say hi to everybody. It's Chico the Chihuahua. Okay. Stay over there now. All right, Steve, do you want me to display the presentation or do you want to call it up?
If you have it, I'll stop sharing. That way you can drive it.
Okay. Let's see. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can.
All right. And if it looks like I'm looking off to the right, that's because I am. That's where the bigger screen is, so I can see what I'm doing here. So again, welcome everyone. Our main topic here is called, it's maximizing your potential in your career. We already went through the speaker stuff. So today we're going to talk about business analysis as a career, the business analysis discipline in the IIBA. Then we'll talk about certifications and exam information. And then we'll talk about our upcoming BABOK study group. Okay, so start out with a couple of easy to look at cartoons. This one says, has Dogbert, and he's saying employees are so important that our head of human resources will get a C-level title. Edna will be our CPO, Chief People Officer. And then it says, take a seat over there by the artificial coffee creamer officer. So it's kind of a joke on titles. You know, when we talk about business analysis, you don't have to have business analyst in your title. Doing business analysis is really baked into a lot of other jobs and titles, and really probably a lot of things that we do outside of work as well. So what is business analysis? It's enabling change in an enterprise. So it allows the enterprise to say what they need and why they need it. And it can be done on a strategic, a tactical, or an operational level. And, you know, like Duran said, he's working on an ERP system. So that might be a project that's part of a program where maybe they're replacing all their systems. And, you know, so they're doing sort of a tactical type of change that's part of a bigger strategic initiative. And, you know, if it's a specific module, it may be down to the operational level. But there's all kinds of fun work to do as a business analyst or doing business analysis. Sometimes it's done as projects, sometimes it's just done as part of continuous improvement. So it doesn't even really have to be a specific project. It involves making sure you understand the current state, the future state, the gaps, maybe selecting some solutions and alternatives and evaluating them. And then there's tasks and techniques that also assist you in doing that. We'll cover some of those in a minute. So I know this slide's kind of small. These slides will be available and posted out to our website after this presentation, but this gives you an idea of some of the titles, some of the compensation that's associated with the titles. So Business Systems Analyst 2 in Sacramento, California, and you can see the source down here. It says salary.com. It's a pretty cool site. There's a lot of stuff out there, but I just grabbed this. So if you're a Business Systems Analyst 2, the median salary is $84,000. So it's pretty well paid. When you get to Business Systems Analyst 4, it's $124,000. Not too bad for this kind of work. And then this is the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. So from 2020 to 2030, they're saying there should be about 350,000 new BA jobs. And then this is just some of the categories and some of the increases that they expect. So again, the purpose of this is, not to study each slide in detail, but to kind of point out to everyone that you're in a really good place right now, and there's definitely a future in it for a long while. So the next thing here is like my first golden nugget, and I think a lot of you have heard me say this before, the people that know me, and this is about job security. So I was at a conference one time, and the keynote speaker asked everybody who wanted job security, put your hand up. And some people were really reluctant to put their hand up. They thought they were being tricked. And it was a legitimate question. But then he said, you want job security, but you can't have it because you don't own it. And that's what this slide is saying. Job security, job loss, it's owned by your employer. It's not owned by you. But there's what's called employment security, and that's owned by you. Right? You own that, you're responsible for it. It's about you continually learning and growing. All right. So what's trending in that BA space in 2022? First thing, BAs are becoming reskilled, right? So it's not a static position where you learn it and then it gets boring. Things are always changing. There's always different tools, there's different work, there's different projects, and Agile is becoming really, really more pervasive. Remote work is on the increase. So as BAs, we have to learn, retool ourselves a little bit and try and be really effective as a remote worker. And the customer journeys are changing. As always, change is constant in that area, but customers expect more, they expect it quicker, expect it more customized, and we just need to be in tune with that as BAs. So the BAs are reskilling. So what are the skills? Agile, data management, and data analytics are a big deal. The latest buzzwords that are out there too are like machine learning, to understand what that is, and how that could, how we could partake in bringing that to market. So what can you do? You embrace and learn new skills, integrate them into your daily activities, and seek out certifications. The IBA, besides having Certified Business Analyst Professional and Cbda, they also have an Agile and a data analytics certification. We're not going to really get into those today, though. So another one of my nuggets, that you guys have heard me say before, but there's a saying that if all you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail, right? Try and build a whole house with a nail, with a hammer and nails. You can't, right? You need a bunch of tools in your toolbox to use the right thing at the right time, and to use it effectively, right? So as BAs, there's tools and techniques that we need to know about, and we need to be effective with. All right, the next one, remote work is on the increase. Obviously, everybody knows this. Fueled by the pandemic, it's becoming more of the permanent operating model. And even back to work, some people are talking about hybrid environments where it's part at home, part at, in the office. Sometimes there's shared desks, and so it'll be a new environment that we're going to have to be dealing with and be effective with. So what can you do? Just get really good at virtual things, learn how to do that, be motivated, focused, try not to get too distracted at home like I am now, because this dog is whining that he wants to leave the room and the door's shut. So I'll get up when Duran gets to his part, let him out. Create a positive workspace, get your tech up to task, and maintain a good work-life balance. That's important. You don't want to burn yourself out at work. Just because you're at home at work and you're saving an hour or an hour and a half commute doesn't mean you should work that extra hour, an hour and a half. Customer journeys are changing. More customers than ever are purchasing products and services online. So there's a big push to make that online experience just be perfect. And, I think there's probably not one of us that hasn't ordered something from Amazon over the last 2 years. And it's just amazing in the services that they deliver. So what can you do? Learn and understand the shift in behavior and expectations. Keep that new paradigm top of mind when you're performing your work. So the next thing, does anyone have any questions or comments at this point? And if you're afraid to speak up, you can just put them in the chat. And just excuse me for 1 second, because this dog probably needs to go out. So I'll send them off to my my wife and my mother-in-law. Okay. Customer journeys are changing. We talked about that. Okay, so business analysis discipline in the IABA. How does the International Institute of Business Analysis define business analyst? So you're a business analyst, right? And your friends, your significant other, family, whatever, they might say, well, what do you do? And you might have a hard time explaining it. So another nugget is, the simple answer is, as a business analyst, you're a change agent, right? And then they might say, well, what do you actually do? So we enable change in the enterprise by gathering requirements, turning them into designs, and ultimately recommending solutions that satisfy the needs of the stakeholders. So there's a lot of words in here that when we get to our education quick hit later, we'll hit upon some of those words again. But there's a nifty little diagram over here that talks about a change agent. What are the different types of things that a change agent brings to the table? So who is a business analyst? It's any person who performs these tasks, regardless of your title or role in the organization. So you're analyzing needs and solutions, coming up with strategies, driving and participating in changes, understanding enterprise problems and goals, and facilitating stakeholder collaboration, and getting their input. So it's a lot of different things, a lot of different skills and tasks that are needed. And the Cbap does a pretty good job of defining those in one of their chapters called Underlying Competencies. So what about the IABA? Well, it was formed in 2003. It's relatively new compared to some of the project management organizations like PMI. So, there's a lot of catch up and a lot of growth still going on. But they've done a really good job of revamping everything. And, I'd say their marquee thing at the moment is the Cbap, the business analysis body of knowledge. There are several other key documents, and we'll touch upon them in a minute, that they produce. And just a lot of services. So what is that all worth? And you can see some of the stuff in here. So if you join the IABA as a member, it will cost you $139 a year. They also have separate corporate memberships. And that works a little bit different. If someone's interested in that, you could contact me and I'll get you in contact with the person who does that. That, I believe, is for 10 people, and it's a lower rate per person than this. And in fact, UC Davis just bought a corporate membership. I just got contacted by the person who sold it to him to say that they want to start getting engaged with our group. So, there's a lot of value in that as well. But when you pay your membership to the IABA, they, in turn, as long as you specify Sac Valley as your local chapter, they turn around and send $15 of that $139 over to our group for miscellaneous expenses and fees and things like that we pay throughout the year. And that was called member harmonization, if anybody is familiar with that term. So these are just some of the things that you get with the IABA membership. So you get a free electronic copy of the BABAC. You also get a copy, you can download a copy of their Agile book that they have for the Agile certification, and lots of other things. There's an online library. It says 300 books. I think they're up to like 10,000 now, but there's a lot of books that are out there that, you know, an online library that you can read. I don't think you could download a lot of them. I think you might have to read them online, but still, it's a tremendous amount of things. And you'll get discounted fees for the exams. Jerron will talk about that later. There's definitely knowledge and networking opportunities. You'll be involved in communities like ours. They also do webinars and they record them so you can play them back. There's a career center that has a lot of job related information. And they also have this global business analysis core standard. So it's kind of like a shortened version of the BABAC and gives you a lot of great information about business analysis. And here's just a more visual slide that shows you again a lot of the benefits that you would get in becoming an IIBA international member. And now might be a time for me just to mention that if you are interested in the BABAC study group, you do need to be an IIBA international member as a prerequisite to join that study group. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later. So what is the BABAC? It's business analysis, body of knowledge. It's a globally recognized standard put together from input from people all over the world. The BABAC is an international organization. Define skills and knowledges required by BAs, their underlying competencies. They also have, outside of this, they have a competency sort of exam or test that you could take to see where you fit on some of the different spectrums. And again, it's, you know, free and downloadable, and really it's sort of required for the BABAC study group. You're going to need that electronic copy. So what does the BABAC, you know, look like? Within that BABAC, there are what they call 6 knowledge areas. So like business analysis, planning and monitoring, we're going to have something on that in our next March meeting. Elicitation and collaboration, requirements lifecycle management, strategy analysis, current state, future state type stuff, requirements analysis and design definition, and solution evaluation. They also describe the 6 underlying competencies, and those break down into further subcategories, but you can see those here. I'm not going to read every one of them, but you know, analytical thinking and problem solving important, communication important. They're all important. And then they have 50 different techniques that, you know, some you'll be familiar with, some you won't. This goes back to that tools slide that I showed you. The more tools that you learn, the more effective you'll be as a business analyst. This is just another picture of the knowledge areas, and it kind of shows with the arrows all over the place that they're all interrelated. It gives you a little bit more of a description, you know, on what's happening in each of the knowledge areas. But again, this will be in the posted to our website, so you'll be able to kind of look at that more later. Same with this slide. This is a lot of detail. So in the BABAC, there's 50 techniques. And I kind of like this slide because it groups them sort of in categories. Some techniques are solution oriented, some are strategic type solutions, some are related to business requirements, and some are multiple, and that's where the circles overlap. So again, I'm not going to, you know, talk about every single technique in here, but these are the 50, and you'll learn more about these through the BABAC study group. We cover these now in one session, well, 5 sessions, so 10 techniques a session. So we take a pretty good dive at them. This slide, I'm sorry, is a little blurry, but it shows you the underlying competencies and how they break down. So like communication talks about verbal, nonverbal, written, and listening, for example. Thinking and problem solving, creating thinking, decision-making, learning, problem solving, systems thinking, conceptual thinking and visual thinking. And within the BABOK, it explains each of these too, so you get more detail on that. So I'm going to pause before I turn it over to Jaron and see if anyone has any questions so far on anything or comments on anything that you've seen. All right, not hearing anything. Jaron, I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's see.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Oh, do I have to unshare? You got it?
Can you see my slides?
Yep.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Bob. Again, this is Jaron. I've been serving in this capacity as VP of Education and Certification since 2019. So this year, this is going to be our 4th year in doing the online study group sessions. Okay. So I'm here to discuss the different IIBA certifications. And here you would kind of feel the waters on which of these certifications, there are actually several tiers of them, where you may be eligible to take the test. Okay, but before doing the IIBA certification, I for one, I must admit that I really didn't care about certification at all years ago. I thought I'm good in this technology. I can write requirements document, and I can do this. I'm really good at Visio. I can represent my thoughts in a graph, diagram, etc. Why do I need certification? And so there's this conversation I had with a friend of mine, and I wanted to share it with you. I'm a big fan of cars. Speaking of cars, let me use the brand Lexus. I'm a diehard Lexus fan. And so there was a time, maybe just like you, there will come a time that your vehicle will be high mileage, and you have this daunting task of, where do I send my car for this 30, 60, mine is like 120,000 mile required maintenance, right? And so you can go to any mom and pop store that would say, hey, Jaron, I have 30 years of fixing cars, Japanese, European, American cars, and I know Lexus. I can fix that. So when you decide to check in your car, what happens is this guy would carry a clipboard and a pencil and look at your car under the hood. Okay. Comes a second option, and that is, here's a guy, I may not have 30 years of experience, but I only have 10 years of experience. But I know your car. In fact, I'm not only ASE certified, I'm also Lexus certified. And when I say that, I just don't get certified once. I get certified every year, because every time Lexus comes up with a new model, from full gas to hybrid now to electric, I need to make sure my skill set is abreast with the latest models of Lexus. So you ask yourself, who would you choose? Where would you bring your car, right? I think it's a no-brainer where, of course, if let's say you prioritize safety and reliability over cost in this scenario, I'm sure you'll all agree that you'll be bringing your car to a certified mechanic, much more so a Lexus certified mechanic. Okay. Now, years ago, not years, over a year, I was in the situation where I want to pick it up from slide 11 that Bob showed earlier, and that is, we need to continue retooling ourselves, because we don't want to feel stagnant. We don't want to feel left out with what's going on in the BA world. And I find myself, to be honest, in that situation where at the midst of the pandemic, a combination of feeling burnout, that I'm working 8, 9, 10 hours here at home because of the lockdown, and then add that with the so-called lockdown fatigue that I thought initially was a made-up word by some self-proclaimed psychology guru or something, then I find myself in that situation where I'm feeling burnt out. I'm not learning new things anymore. There's no new projects coming in because of the lockdown, probably. Plus, the lockdown itself, it it kind of burned me that I find myself resigning from work. I just needed some time off, maybe a longer time off. And then lo and behold, when I was looking for a job around December of 2020, so just over, oh geez, it's just over a year ago, December 2020, I was surprised when I looked at the job market. It's different like 7-8 years ago when I was looking for a job, right? So I just wanted to show you, these are actual job postings that for one, I applied because I was kind of geared towards looking at a smaller radius. I'm based here in Fairfield, so I'm looking at as far as north as Sacramento, far east as Walnut Creek and Pleasanton, and then far south from my point of view as like San Francisco or Berkeley. Okay, so here's one, a business analyst, San Francisco, remote. They're now looking for some form of certification. It says here, preferably Cbap or working towards certification. In the past, you won't see this, right? Here's a couple of them. In Vacaville, Recology. After going through all of those requirements, it says there, we need one or more of these certifications. And if you look at this, these are all of the levels of the IIBA certification for business analysts, which we'll go through the next few slides. Recology needs that one. Another one here, Global Finishing Solutions, certification in Cbap or PMI, okay? This one, I love this ad. When I saw this thing, I laughed when I saw this thing, because this recruiter from ECI was so smart to say, we need this job opening. And they even put Cbap in the title of the job opening. It has Cbap Certified Senior Business Analyst, right? It says there, valid Cbap. I'm here in Fairfield, which is part of Solano. So I looked at the Solano website, and sure enough, they need a business systems analyst, a senior one, and they need that person certified, right? Now, why did I have a question mark here? Because if you scroll, well, I can't scroll up because this is an image, but one of those things that they're looking for is expertise in this and this and this and this. When I look at it and I open the BABOK, these are all of the 6 knowledge areas of the BABOK. So even the Solano County, a government employer, knows about the importance of being certified. This is the last one. Kaiser Permanente in Pleasanton, they need a principal consultant. You should have 5 years of this, 5 years. And again, these are preferred qualifications. But somewhere there you would see Cbap again. And the last one here on the right, TriNet, which is the major competitor of ADP for our payroll. They're looking for a principal BA based in Dublin. And sure enough, training requirements, any of the following. If you look at it, it's kind of repetitive. It's certified business analysis professional, certified business analysis professional. They mentioned it twice. So, so my point here, everyone on the call, is that I know some of you are probably seasoned business analysts in your career. Some of you are probably starting your BA career. But one thing that I learned the hard way, which I hope you won't have to go through what I've gone through, is this. I should have gotten myself certified. Not because I have to, but I suggest you get certified before you have to. Get certified not because you have to, meaning, you know what, I feel bored. I wanted to shop around and I saw this opportunity, my dream company, my dream job, my dream commute, it's close to my house. But one of the requirements is I need to be IIBA certified. Then it's now time for you to rush and review by yourself, everything, and then take the test. And hopefully the job opening is still there. Hopefully you don't want to get certified because you have to, like your company downsized and you were let go and now you're looking for a job, right? But what we suggest, the rest of the Sacramento Valley chapter, we recommend that you get certified even before you have to. Now that you have the luxury of time, join us in our study group. so that we can help you achieve your certification. Okay. Now you might be saying, okay, Jaron, now that you scare me to death in getting certified, what are the available certification that I can be eligible to take? So the entry level, level 1 here, is what they call the entry certificate in BA, ECBA. To its right, level 2, that's the certification of capability in BA, CCBA. Level 3 is basically the gold standard, certified BA professional. Okay, and then IIBA came up with certification on Agile and also on data analytics here on the right. Okay. At the bottom of this slide, I just wanted to show you the progression. When I did this talk with Bob last year, oh, no, it wasn't Bob, it was Tammy and Chris. When we had this thing, end of December 2020, they have around 14,000 Cbap. And then just 13 months later, like end of last month, there's an extra 1,700 that were Cbap certified. And we're talking about not just in the United States, but around the world. So as you can see, the certification, the number of certified professionals are growing by the year. And I think it's being accelerated by the pandemic as well, when everybody's at home. Okay, something to think about. So level 1. Now, just like what Bob mentioned, we're not going to drill down to all of these things because there's so many information. We'll just go to the highlights. And I apologize if I'm talking so fast because we only have a limited number of time here. So we'll just go through this quickly. So let's say if you are beginning your BA career, the IIBA requires that, of course, you have to register and you have to have a minimum of 21 PDs within the last 4 years to be eligible. Okay, and Bob will discuss that later. You need to sign the code of conduct and the terms and condition. That's the entry level if you're starting your career, okay, as a BA. Effective March 1, so this is almost a year. They started conducting ECBA exam based on slightly updated blueprint. So as you can see, the changes are not that big. As you can see here on the table on the right, the current is this. The changes are those highlighted. Not much. They changed the type of questions on the strategy analysis, not much on the requirements, and not much on the solution, just 1%. And the techniques, they increased it by around 5%. Okay, so if you're thinking about ECBA, if you're starting your BA career, this is the one for you. Now, level 2. Okay, level 2 is where IIBA requires some man hours that you can declare and that they can verify. So if you have a minimum of 3,750 hours of work during the last 7 years, okay, and then of all of those things, of all of those, let's say 6 knowledge areas, you have 2 of those 6 knowledge area where you have 900 hours, or in each of them, of course, or 4 of the 6, you have 500 hours in each of these 4 knowledge areas. And then, 21 hours of professional development and references and all of these agreements that you need to sign. Okay. Level 3, Cbap, builds upon level 2, and this time it's double the hours. It's now 7,500 hours. Not within the last 7 years, but this time it's in the last 10 years. Okay. And this time they're more kind of stringent in that 900 hours in 4 of the 6 knowledge areas. Okay. And then here, as you can see, let me just go back so you can see the difference. Here in level 2, the CCBA, they require 21 hours of Cbap, professional development. For the Cbap, they require 35 hours. So just a plug here, if you want to get these 35 hours within the last 4 years, the new Babok online study group that Bob and the rest of the chapter are working on will cover 35 hours. So you don't have to search for other options to complete the 35 hours, okay? Along with the references and the other agreements that you need to sign, okay? Agile, again, this is kind of fairly new. They just introduced this thing a few years ago when they see the market going through Agile development. Okay, I'm not going to discuss this thing. All of these things are available on the IIBA website, by the way. And the other one, this is the latest one. In fact, I take it back. This is not the latest one, but they introduced this thing after Agile, and that's the Business Data Analytics certification. Currently, I think during the last year or so, they introduced another one they called Product Owner certification. Okay. Now, benefits of professional certification. Just like what I mentioned earlier, if you would recall the mechanic metaphor that I mentioned earlier, change the subject in such a way that now you're not the Lexus owner. You are a technical recruiter, or much more so, you're the hiring manager, and you have a pile of resumes, all BA applicants. You shortlisted them into these two best candidates. One on the left, the BA, just like this mechanic on the left, claims, I've been doing BA for 30 years. I've done it all technologies, all industries, I've done it. Okay. Then the other candidate on the right, I only have 10 years of BA experience, but I am IIBA certified. I'm a Cbap. Who do you think the hiring manager or the technical recruiter would prioritize first? In fact, there's this small anecdote I told last year. We had one of the members of the board who had this huge order from a major client. If I'm not mistaken, it's either IBM or Oracle. And so they called on this person, a recruitment firm, and says, thanks for providing me all of these resumes of BAs. Do me a favor. All of those that were IIBA certified, can you put them on top of the stack? We want to review them first. And that's coming from a real scenario. So I hope that would kind of enlighten you to, consider having yourself certified, because it's different. It's different when you're the one bragging about yourself. I can do this, I can do that, I can promise you heaven on earth, right? But it's different when it's a different person, a different company based in Canada called the IIBA saying that, yes, this person, we have reviewed his credential. We did the background checks. We checked his or her personal references. He or she took the test and passed it. We certify this BA as a professional business analyst. That would mean a lot to whoever is reviewing your application. So to you, it's more on, going through this list on the left. It's, you have competence on the principles. You're participating in a professional business analyst group like this Sacramento Valley chapter. You're recognized by your peers, and you're not stuck with your skill set. You're continuously improving yourself, retooling, right? So in all of these other benefits to you for your organization, professional development. A lot of companies are investing on, someone who would want to get certified, reliability to you, and that you, depending on whether you're a consultant or an employed, an employee to a company, they are assured that you know what you're doing, right? Going through this, exam about information. Oh, I'm so fast, my cursor here. So depending on if you are a member or a non-member, the prices vary. So as you can see here, if you're taking, let's say, the ECBA as a member and as a non-member, if you're taking the Cbap, it's much higher, $325 and $450. Again, all of these information are found in the IIBA website. Okay. just to give you an idea on how much would it cost. So these are the major steps that you would go through. And the good thing about, joining the online study group is that this is also part of the study sessions, that we will walk you through the process, so you don't have to do this thing alone by yourself. Create your own IIBA account on their portal, pay the application fee, complete all of those requirements to take the examination, pay the exam fee, and then schedule and take the exam. Okay. This is a high-level description on the contents of the examination. The ECBA, 50 multiple choice questions. You have 1 hour to finish that. Okay. CCBA, it's 3 hours, but you have 130 multiple choice questions. Okay. Cbap is 3.5 hours. But you might see, oh, it's only 120 multiple choice questions. But most of these 120 are case study based, it says here. And you will be provided, let's say, 1 or 2 paragraphs of a question, and then they can ask you 2 or 3 or more questions on that one to make sure that you understand the case study. Okay. Agile, it's kind of fairly new, 85 multiple choice to be done in 2 hours. Now the data business analytics, 75 multiple choice in 2 hours. Now, back then when I was taking, prior to the pandemic, when I took the examination, they do not have the online option. I have to drive to Prometric near the Sunrise Mall there in Sacramento. So I drove there, and I liked Prometric back then because they have weekends. So I took the test on a Sunday. And so if you were given, let's say, an hour to do the test, in this case, the Cbap, I have 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours include my bathroom break. So if I need to go to the bathroom, they would time you as well, of course. The time that you're in the bathroom is part of the 3.5 hours. So you need, that's the thing with the on-site. Now with the pandemic, IIBA changed their certification exam provider. Now the new provider offers both on-site in a local branch and online. And doing the certification online is just like attending a Zoom meeting with the provider on the other side of the Zoom meeting, and you need to have, you need to submit to all of their requirements. One of them is that you'd be in a quiet room, that you should be able to lift your laptop or a separate camera and be able to show what's inside the room, 360 degree. Ceiling, even floor, just to be sure there's no, no cheat sheet or no other references or books around you. And then all the time, you need to turn your camera on while you're taking the test. And the other person would be, they are watching you and be there to answer any questions you may have. Okay. Exam blueprint, as you can see, that this one will give you a flavor of the knowledge areas covered in the examination, right? As you can see in the ECBA, since you are starting with your career, the planning and monitoring, 5%, strategy analysis, 5%. But as you go through Cbap, all of them is almost kind of evenly distributed except for the requirements, which is 30%, right? Okay. Study techniques. These are the things that you can avail of. A lot of these we covered during the study group sessions. Okay. I'll let you breeze through this slide. Okay. Taking the exam at a proctored facility. A lot of these are kind of common sense things that you need to arrive on time or sooner. provide appropriate identification, and some of these things that they prohibit, jewelry, and that sort of thing. And again, we have a separate session in the study group that had a deep dive on this. Okay. And any questions before I pass the ball to Bob? Oh, before I forget, let me just stop sharing here and look at the participant, because there was a name that I saw which I thought, which is worth mentioning. During the past 3 years, when we're doing the study group, it's always something new every time we do the study group. Year after year, we keep on improving, because in the study group, it's not just me trying to share my knowledge and expertise, but it's everyone, each one learning from each other. And so all of those good things that we learned from this year, we carry forward the next year. And last year we have Pandu, who did the man hours in converting all of these information into an Excel chart. Then you can see for example, which technique is used in which knowledge area, or that sort of thing, which is really great. And we plan to carry that forward in this year's study group session. And so you might ask, Jaron, you've been doing this for 3 years, right? How many have joined you? And of those, let's say, how many have taken the exam and are now IIBA certified? Okay. Well, I'm proud to announce 3 years, we have 2 Cbaps that were byproducts of those 3 years of study group. One of them is actually on the call. So is it a couple of years ago when you took the test, and she is now Cbap certified. So Trish Frederick, you're in the call. Congratulations. You want to share some few thoughts and what you experienced with what we did like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and how it is? Trish, you're on mute. Maybe some issues with Trish. Okay. And the second one is actually Pandu. Pandu took the test and nailed it last year. So we hope that these two participants that did all of the work, took the test, are now Cbap they're IIBA certified. They're now full-blown Cbap. We hope that we kind of encourage you to do the same thing. Join us, and again, before I pass it on to Bob, one thing we need to clarify that, we do not guarantee that you will pass the test, just to be out of there. But if you join us in all of these, not 12, but 14 sessions, you'll get all of the 35 hours required for a Cbap, or 24 for an ECBA, for a CCBA. And if you join the study group and do your due diligence, here's one thing we guarantee. The chances and the likelihood of you passing the test becomes astronomically higher than you doing it all by yourself. So please join us, Bob and the rest of the Sacramento Valley chapter, as we promote to you, the 2022 study group. So I hope I have encouraged you enough. And for the details, here's Bob.
Thank you, Jaron. So that was a lot of information. And, I just want to reiterate what you were saying. And that is basically, you could attend our sessions. You'll gain a lot of insight and information. You'll definitely upgrade your skills. But if you're going to go for certification, you have to be serious about it. This isn't like taking your driver's test where you got a small little booklet and you got to remember a few things. And, it's a pretty comprehensive book. There's a lot of material, but if you develop a plan and you stick to it, you'll be successful. And speaking of successful, I think basically about half the people pass it the first time around. just because I think they underestimate what it really does take to be prepared for that test. The 14 study group sessions we have will prepare you for it. That's my last golden nugget today in this slide is the study group. So I know this is small, but again, this presentation will be available. This is what the schedule looks like for the study group. So it's 14 sessions. I need to change that now. It says can do. That'll be Duran and me and Duran at the end. So we'll kick it off and just talk about some general things. Then we'll actually get into some of the material. We use this thing called Watermark. It's like a question bank that helps prepare you for the test. That Watermark is not shared with the members of the group. It's only available during the sessions, right? Because the fee that we pay really doesn't allow us to like hand the password out to everybody. But it is a good thing. And if people are serious again about taking the test, you may want to consider getting your own subscription to that. But then we work our way through the competencies that we talked about earlier. We go through the techniques, and those lay the foundation for the 6 knowledge areas, which is really the core of the material that you're going to be tested on if you do certify. It's a lot of great information. The last session, we do a recap, and we also talk about what does it take to get certified? You know, what do you need to do to apply? We'll review some of the material that Duran covered a little while ago because it'll be more relevant when you're actually ready to take the test. But, you know, how many questions, what's the nature of them? And like Duran said, as we've gone through, we've upgraded our agendas. We also have added, for this time around, some case study work. The sessions previously were from 6 to 8. To get our 35 hours, we have 14 sessions that are 2.5 hours each, which equals exactly 35 hours. So we're going to fill in some of that extra time with case studies. And then I guess pretty much the last slide that I have on the study group. I skipped this one. Well, yeah, I think I skipped this one. But, you know, this tells you the objective of the study group is to just, you know, prepare you as a BA and hopefully build your confidence enough to go ahead and try and take the certification test. There is a cost, $50. The Watermark stuff that we have isn't free. And, you know, the money that we get just goes into our bank account, which isn't really, really high, but, you know, we need to maintain a healthy bank account in case we ever do have to pay for rooms and things like that. And again, they're going to be Thursdays, basically from 6 to 8:30. There'll be a break built in. And the type of things you'll get are slide decks. And there's a lot of additional documents and information that support the material that you're learning. We're going to do some case studies. There's also YouTube links that reinforce and this Watermark question bank. So it's a lot of stuff. I think it's well worth the cost. And I know, Duran, I don't think you talked about it today, but yet, but we'll talk about it in the study group. You know, people offer programs like this that cost $1,000+ You know, that's usually it's a week crash course, but you're going to get all that material for $50, kind of spread out over time. So there's some links here. You know, you can go to the Babok study group page, and this link will take you right to it. We're linked up with PayPal, so you can click on the Pay Now button, and that'll allow you to pay your fee. And then you need to fill out the sign up form so that we know that, you know, we have your information. And that would go to education@sacramento.iiba.org. And then the study group schedule that we just looked at here is actually a document that you could print, download, whatever, and here's the link to that. So, Duran, anything else that you want to say about the study group? Because I know it's starting up in about a month and a half.
Yeah. Well, thanks for reminding me for the cost. Can you show that part where you said it's like $50?
Sure.
Yeah, every time I see this slide or anything related to this slide, I feel kind of, how would I say it, brokenhearted. Because what happened was back then, Bob, you weren't in the Sacramento Valley chapter back then, like 10, 12 years ago. And I was doing things on my own. So I enrolled at the UC Davis Professional Development. I took all of the courses just to get the certificate of business analysis program. It costed me over $8,000 to finish that one. And then for me to get these 35 hours of education, I have to enroll, just like what Bob mentioned. I had to pay almost $2,000 in watermark learning for 8 mornings, 8 Saturday mornings, you know, from 7 to noon. I have to attend this online meeting with our instructor from Watermark Learning. So you can just imagine, what am I doing, like up early Saturday morning where a lot of my peers are still snoring, right? So I had to do that, and I spent you know, almost $10,000 in all of those things, and I took the Cbap. I would say I over prepared for it. When I saw you know, what we're, you know, years ago, when I saw how we're offering it to all of you, I just realized, gee, for $50, you can avail of all of these things that costed me thousands of dollars years ago. So I kind of envy all of you who are considering to be certified, but we strongly encourage, take advantage of this. Because who knows, Bob might wake up one day and says, you know what, let's increase the price or something. But we encourage you, please, just like in my other slide, get certified, not because you have to, but before you have to. Now is the best time. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jerome. All right. Let's see. Let me just check chat, because I know there's some stuff in here. Is there anything, Steve, that we need to address?
Steve posted something.
Okay. Yeah,
I just called out the fact that you don't have to go through level 1 or 2 to get to the Cbap level 3.
Right. You just need to meet the qualifications as far as like years of experience, and there's some details in there, but how much experience you have in each of the knowledge areas. And again, we'll make sure people really know that stuff locked down, you know, if you join the study group.
Christina, I have a question.
Sure, Jean.
Do you have to complete the Cbap in order to do the Cbda program?
No. And in fact,
I know you said that you aren't going to talk about it today, so I don't want to belabor it. I can talk to you offline about it, but I'm just curious.
There's definitely overlap, especially with the Agile. So the Agile was really new. You know, I think IBA realized they were a little late to the game to jump on the Agile bandwagon, but you know, that bandwagon is becoming a freight train.
Yeah.
So you know, they're pushing more and more on that. But when they first offered the Agile, it was based off of, there's an Agile body of knowledge book that was free, you know, on their website. It was maybe about 220 pages. The Babok's about 570. So it's smaller, but there's definitely overlap, and it helps to know the Babok and the Agile together. But with Agile, there's no requirements. You know, you don't need any hours or anything, and you just sign up and take the test. So they lowered the bar significantly to try and get people to get that Agile certification.
Okay,
And
so what about the data analytics piece?
The data analytics, I don't know as much about, but
okay,
you know, the slide that Duran had, I think, had some information on it.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot for the information. It's been great details, and I really appreciate it. But I got to drop now.
Okay.
But I will be in touch. Thanks.
Thanks, Gina. And thanks, everyone. This part of the presentation is over. I just want to do, you know, we introduced these knowledge quick hit things that we're going to have at each session for about 5 minutes. We're just going to cover a concept, you know, to hopefully someone will have a takeaway, or you can take the slide that is here and look at it later. So today's quick hit is the business analysis core concept model. It's a very fundamental thing that's part of the BABOK, and you pretty much have to know it if you're going to take the certification exam. That's just a good thing to know in general. So what is it? It's a conceptual framework. It encompasses business analysis. So there's a lot of fundamental things in here that you do and maybe unconsciously, but now they formalize it and put it down in front of you so you can see it. And it just applies across a broad spectrum of things. So what is it? There's 6 interrelated terms. And they're trying to get a common meaning for these terms among all the business analysts. So what are those 6 terms? Change, need, solution, stakeholder, value, and context. And we'll take a look at it, in a minute. Then I have start any place in the framework, but usually I start with the stakeholder, and a picture's worth 1,000 words. So we're going to take a look at the picture that tells you about this model. So the way I usually look at it, and there's definitions for what each of these concepts are, but the way I usually look at it is I say there's a stakeholder, and that stakeholder has needs, and they formulate those needs in context, right? And things in meaning to them, their context. And once they do that, it usually results in changes that are needed, that are delivered through solutions, and those solutions provide value back to the stakeholder. So you can take this model and apply it to a lot of things that you do in life, right? If you're going to go to the movies and you're the stakeholder, what is your need? You want to see this type of movie, and what's the solution? So there's a lot of ways to frame this, but we know in the kind of work that we do, it's a little bit more formal than that loose example that I was trying to get. But it is a good thing to know about and a good thing to apply when you're doing your work. So I'm done with this piece. We have about 10 minutes left. And I just want to see again if anyone has any questions.
Bob, there was this note from Trish. So
Okay.
it says here on the chat, I still can't get off mute, but I'd be happy to help anyone who wants to apply to certify, because that is quite an experience, at least for the Cbap test. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
that's great. And if somebody wants to get in touch with Trish, I would say just send an email to the education email address it's in the slide deck. If you sign up for the study group, you don't have to sign up for the study group, but the email address is there. That'll go to Jaron, and Jaron could put you in touch with Trish.
mm-hmm.
Okay, and that brings us to the wrap up. So now we're at the point where Steve will get you engaged again. You could do your quick quiz. We'll do the raffle. And before that happens, I just want to thank everyone for your time. Thank you, Jaron, especially you for volunteering and for coming back and working with us. And thanks again to Nora and Experis for your sponsorship. Steve, I'll let you wrap it up.
Okay. Share my screen back again. Can you see my slide with the instructions to rejoin? Wait, no, I have to actually hit the share button. There we go. I'm a Teams person. Zoom is So if you still have the Menti up, the slides will be auto changing. But if you haven't done it yet on a computer, or it works better on your phone, scan that code or just type that code into the website, and then we'll start the quiz here in just a second. So we'll just go to the next slide now. So your phone or computer should prompt you to put your name in, and it'll assign you a icon. But if you can put your real name in, I know who the winner is at the end. That's just 4 quick questions. You get points for answering them right, and you get points for answering them fast. And then it'll tally it all up at the end. So I've got 10 people in there. So we'll go ahead and get started just because we have little time left. The question will show up here, but the answers to choose from will show up on your phone. Which tasks can you perform to be considered a business analyst? I probably shouldn't play along since I know the answers.
Funny.
All right, and it'll automatically tell us what the right answer is after everybody answers. Okay, so all of them, they're all right. And I suppose you could argue if you picked the first one, that answer is correct, but they're all correct. All right, next question. I think that was the only trick question.
It's like a Babcock, I mean, a Cbap question. Pick the most correct answer.
The most correct, yes. How many knowledge areas are there in the Babcock?
I'm playing too steep, but I'm waiting until the end to answer,
Okay,
just so I get fewer points.
somebody's got to answer it. There we go. 6. There's 50 techniques. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, Bob, did you say 50?
yeah, there's 50 techniques.
But only
Only
6
6
knowledge
knowledge areas.
areas. All right, question 3.
Bob, since I'm familiar with this, I thought I won't answer this, even if I wanted to get the Disney trip to Disney prize that Steve is raffling off.
And John, I was hoping during the presentation you would say Cbap is the gold standard, and you did.
I did, yeah.
All right. When I wrote that question, I'm like, should I ask somebody to say it? All right, last question. Which one of these skills is not a new skill if you're reskilling as a BA? Not a trick question, but maybe a tricky question. There we go. All right, so now it's going to tally up all the points. Oh, wow, look at that. Travis Murray, good job.
All right, way to go, Travis.
So I have your email. I'll send you out a gift card probably in the morning. And then for everybody that put their name in for the raffle earlier, can you now see my wheel of names?
Cool.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So
Steve, you're becoming fancier every year, man.
I know. I got this off of the IIBA has a Slack channel now for all the chapters to coordinate stuff with, and somebody gave me this little nugget.
Hey,
There we
Steve.
go.
You
Yeah.
already spun it. I was gonna say take my name out since,
Oh,
but
okay. We're all good.
yeah, we're good.
Gina, all right, I think she had a drop.
Okay, but I got her email, and I don't know if you can hear it, but there was applause from the app
Oh,
here.
no, it didn't come through.
Okay,
No.
all good. So that's it. That's all I have. By tomorrow on our website, just a quick plug. All of our previous presentations are here. I'll have the video up by tomorrow. The slides and the agenda are already there. I'll add the quick hits, the knowledge quick hit slide here too by tomorrow morning too.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. And thanks, everybody. Finished right on time.
Right on.
All right. Thank you all for
And
the
thanks.
presentation. It was great.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Bob, Steve.
Yeah. Thanks, John.